Welcome to the Life of a Marketer podcast. And today's guest is Jennifer Sutton. Jennifer is a veteran in the marketing industry for 25 plus years. But Jennifer, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself. As usual, tell us about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, Jared. I appreciate it. So I call myself a serial agency person. I have spent the majority of my early career in large agencies, mid-size agencies, working on big brands, global brands, big media budgets. And I grew up in the media departments. So I was the one that would scour through the analytics, the Scarborough data, the MRI data, any of like the primary data. I am a research designer as well by trade. So, when I went to mid-size agencies, I wore and ran the media and research departments. Then kind of grew up in account planning, brand strategy, before I started my own agency in 2013, which is a full service marketing and advertising agency based out of South Carolina, called Bright Marketing. So that is me.
Awesome. Awesome. And so, Jennifer, tell us what kind of clients are you typically serving and what can you do for them?
So we specialize in working with what we call growth companies. We work with companies across very variety of industries, markets, shapes and sizes. It's really companies that are looking for aggressive growth, scalability. So we've got clients that are, 25 million, but they want to be at 50 million in 3 years, or 250 million that want to be $1 billion in, 2 to 3 years. And it's how do we get them there? And a lot of clients come in and they might think they need an advertising solution, but it ends up being it's really a marketing problem we're solving, or they know it's a marketing problem, and we're coming in and diving deep and bringing a lot of the proven disciplines that a lot of big brands utilize in order to get that scalability.
Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Thanks for sharing that. So tell us, what's the best thing about being in the marketing industry?
Well, it's like a good time to be in marketing. There's never been more data at our fingertips from, market intelligence and able to gather data. It's actually really exciting to be there. There's so much tools and technology that have come out that allows us, especially in research, design, and like trying to find the audience that you want to either gather information from and or target and serve. It's now easy to build that audience through a lot of the tech. We've designed some pretty neat advertising technology based on, just for like advertising determined media mix modeling. That is a mix of, machine learning based on how your media performance has been doing, but we bring a lot of that data forward in predictive and projection tools, where we've gathered all the benchmarks of click-through rate, conversion rates, closing, sales closings across the various industries, B2B and B2C, that we can benchmark against. But we can also now go, this media mix, we need a mix of OTT with our PPC, pay-per-click, or we need radio in a mix of Facebook ads. So, or we just need to do 100%, email and direct calls like SMS, text messaging. So we can do a lot of predictions and projections using a lot of the data that's at our fingertips. And, growing up in media where you had to use a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of manual things, you can do a lot of this modeling in like such fast time, and then launch campaigns that achieve that. It's no longer I'm gonna just take another minute, and coming from a media person in agency, it was if you launch $20 million or you spent $5 million or even $1 million on an ad campaign and it didn't work, from a media person, it was, you don't know, like, okay, we did this TV campaign or we launched this in social, we had great click-through rates, but then, it went into what we call the client, user journey. And now with a lot of the tracking and the monitoring devices, we can come in and really inspect the cart. What's happening inside the cart? What's the abandonment rate? Why is that happening? Or we can take everything through to a call and go, hey, the sales team's not following the script. Like something's happening beyond just the ad campaign. We can look in sales enablement and sales operations and sales strategies to really help the business owner, the marketer, the brand go, why are we not hitting the projections that we should be hitting, because those are standard, they're benchmarks. And that's why, like, it is a good time to be a marketer.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Because we have
So
that. We
let me
have
get
all
this
that
straight.
to our fingertips.
Your
Yeah,
tech is like Google Analytics, but like on steroids, like can include
it's
like
on. Yeah,
email, radio. So you can just take every single marketing channel, even the non-digital, put it in one place
that's
and
right.
uses predictive technology to tell you where you should invest and how
That's
much.
right. And,
Wow.
and you know, and it's a good time. A lot of people don't realize, a lot of media. There are 1,000 tactics just in digital, right? A lot of people think that's just 2 or 3. I got social and I've got, you might have PPC, but just in search, there's like 10 different tactics in search. There's, 10 to 20 tactics in just using LinkedIn, or, a variety of tactics within just Facebook. So when you look at what, we break those tactics down to go exactly which tactic inside of Facebook is going to work, or which tactic specifically in LinkedIn is going to work. And it might be a combination of using multiple tactics within those platforms. But it's like taking analytics and marketing intelligence, and it's putting it out on, on a robust, like when you said steroids, that's a good
Okay,
term.
awesome. Well, that is absolutely fascinating that you designed something like that and that you implemented it. That's totally impressive. I really appreciate people that have that kind of mind to do that and the wherewithal to do that. So that's pretty cool. And next question: what sort of
Yeah.
advice do you offer to those that are in the marketing industry right now?
Yeah. So use data as your foundation. Obviously, I'm a data person, but it's the smart, like, don't just make an assumption. Don't take a guess. Really use data as your friend, to make the smart decisions, to make the better buy. And also, there is no such thing as a templated approach to in this day and age. Every company has its unique goals, target audience, message and value proposition, and user experience. So don't, we see a lot of marketers, especially, you see the announcements of like, woo, I grew 10% year over year by spending $10,000 a month in ad spend. And so a lot of people go, okay, well, I need to spend $10,000 a month. Whoa, I'm not seeing a 10% growth. Or, it's like, well, your user journey may have been different. Your audience might have been slightly different. Your industry and your competition is different. So, use data, have a disciplined, focused approach of like figuring out what your goals are, figuring out what your value proposition is, what is that story you're trying to tell, and benchmark yourself. Like, you have industry benchmarks, but then you need to figure out what your own benchmarks are, so that you're not getting disappointed and going, so I'll give you an example of that. We use these benchmarks to help us figure out, is the media plan, is this landing page converting the way it should be? But every user, journey is different for every company. And we have a client that does professional service. They're a staffing agency. They're always trying to recruit, companies. Hey, we can take care of your staffing needs. Book an appointment with us. That was the whole KPI. That was the goal of the campaign. Book an appointment. So our media campaign was being judged on appointments. But our ad to the landing page, like 10 times, 15 times industry benchmarks for that category. But we weren't getting people to convert all the way through to the appointment. People were abandoning the calendar because we can put, tech in to go, hey, people started the process, but they're not finishing the process. Well, the form that people had that they were wanted to have, well, we need all this information. It's like, that user does not want to give you all this information yet. So let's take a step back. Let's do a video. Let's hold a class. Let's do a webinar. Let's gather the lead, then do the appointment. So we had to add 2 steps in that sales journey in order to get the booking of an appointment. Because once they know that someone's booked an appointment, they can, their close rate was, was like a 75% close rate. But they just needed to get the appointment. So monitoring the whole journey and not getting so caught up of the media campaign is failing, because we're not hitting the benchmarks. It's like, you got to take it a step further and go, what is the journey you're on? How are people relating to your message? And you might need to pivot a little bit. So, yes, there's benchmarks. Yes, there's data. But you need to stay focused on what your goals are, what your message is, what your industry is doing, and don't get caught up in this like these commerce type of sales year over year, because like you're in B2B, you're not in commerce, or so just
Yeah, for
don't
sure.
get caught in some of
Just throw,
that noise.
yeah, you can't just throw money at it. That's not how it works. Definitely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, you can't just money in does not equate to money out.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, that would be my advice. Stay focused, use data, and figure out your own benchmarks against your own industry.
All right, awesome, awesome. I appreciate all those thoughts and impressed by the technology that you guys built. And thanks for sharing that. We're going to change gears a little bit. What are
Yeah.
some successful people in marketing like yourself that you'd like to acknowledge that should be on the podcast?
Oh my goodness. There's kind of like throw out some good marketers. Let's see, there's Roy. I'm blanking his last name, but he owns a company called Lead Post. He has created some great tech that you put on your website. That not only, there's a lot of tech that allows you to like track the IP addresses of people coming on to your website. So these universities have been on your website, most likely interns looking for or students looking for internships or jobs, or hey, this this company was looking on your website, that might be good leads. His technology goes a step further, and it then matches up because of, like I said, all this data and this technology. They're matching up to go, okay, this brand or this company was on your website. Here's actually the person from their IP address that it was coming from. So you're capturing direct leads, names, and email addresses from people that are coming on your website, as long as there's matches in the bigger database. When I say the bigger, like the interspheres, interwebs database. But it's a really cool tech, and what they've developed, and it's always fun talking to him and how they're moving the web data forward. Some others that you get people like these really great storytellers, these great entrepreneurs like Matt Gray, who he launched the Herbalist, or the Herbal. It's it's a CBD cannabis industry newsletter media outlet. And, he went from 0 to something like 90,000 subscribers in 6 months, generated revenue, sponsorships and ad revenue. And now he helps founders and owners, right? Like how do they create a personal brand, but also how do they create, like, if you're in a subscription based model, what's the tech stack and what's the operation to do that? He's extremely knowledgeable, and I'm all over Twitter, and so is he, and I love following his tweets. So Matt Gray is a great person just to listen to, follow. He gives great advice.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. One more question just for fun. What is the oldest technology that you remember using?
All right, so I'm putting it in my career hat, right? Not you're telling your story of your mom, the pencil, which I love. That's funny. But no, I worked in a radio station in college, and that was, gotta start somewhere. I did well, so I did voices. I was always like the child in the ads that did the voices, because my voice is kind of unique, high pitched voice, and it was a lot softer and higher back 30 years ago. But to create the commercials, I was also, when I walked in, I was the splicer. So anybody that's been in radio or broadcast back in the day, now it's all technology. It's like, just on your couple of computer keys. But that was where you had to do the reel to reel. You had to listen to where the breaks were and literally take a razor blade in a wooden block, and you would splice out the sections, tape it, and then that's how you made your spots in the larger and put those 30-second spots of literally tape in the program. But that was my title. I was junior splicer.
Very grueling, and I'm sure tedious work.
Yeah, that's some old tech. Razor blade, tape, and a block of wood.
Wow, how things have changed, and now it's like they upgrade like every year. There's something that comes out that just blows your mind.
Right. I mean, it's like even to walk through radio stations today, you go through, it's like before it was super crowded and all the studios were full of people. Now people can do it from home and, off their computer, off their phone. So a lot of the studios are, everything's just changed.
Sure. Definitely. For sure. Well, yeah, that's interesting. I never had that answer before. That was a wonderful answer. I really appreciate that. I forgot that's how they do that, even that they had to like cut the film and then tape it together.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. So anybody watching this that's like younger than Gen X are gonna be like, what? Really? That's what you guys used to have to do? And yeah, that's the way things work. And it was the dawn of technology, basically, and
no tech.
Yeah. And then now we've got AI, and that'll just like answer the phone and order pizza for you if you want to. So
that's right. That's right.
It's interesting. It's always interesting being in marketing and learning about all these tools. Well, we'd like to keep our podcast short, so we're gonna cut it here, Jennifer. But thanks for being on our show. We really appreciate it. Everybody, once again, you can watch our podcast. We stream it live every Tuesday or Thursday at 11 something, not quite at 11. We don't release it right on the hour like everybody else, because that's not a good idea. And you can also subscribe to our email list. If you want to be on our email list for the podcast, you can just email me, jared@hiveleadmarketing.com. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. That's another good and easy way to watch the podcast. This has, our podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, you can also email me, Jared@hiveleadmarketing, and we can get you set up if you'd like to be a part of this. Once again, Jennifer, I really appreciate you being on today. Everybody like and subscribe, and whatever love you can give us, we appreciate it. This has been awesome. Thanks once again, Jennifer. Over and out.
Thank you.